G'day everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going through my round 5 AFL tips and predictions, as this is the weekend for a gather round, and I'm super excited because this is a week of footy where I'll be attending probably 7 or 8 games, so it's going to be massive and I'm looking forward to this round massively. But of course, before we do get into the tips, we'll go through my round of 4 tips, we'll see how I went, and I did get a total score of 7 out of 9, which is a lot better than what I have previously. I think this is the best score I've gotten so far. And even with a bad start and tipping Collingwood, I still ended up getting 7. I went North Melbourne. Did get 50 points off the margin, which wasn't great, but then I did get the Blues tip right. I got the Crows tip right, the Dogs tip right. 2 really good tips in a row. St Kilda. Sydney probably should have won that, to be honest. Essendon, Melbourne, and then the Cats. Also, for the people wondering when the Goal King Challenge will be out, I'm going to be delaying it till after Gather Round. I know I've been saying all this time, oh yeah, I'll make sure it'll be before Gather Round, but didn't realise how much effort and time needed to be put into this one. And also, I don't want to rush it. The Goal King Challenge, I'm still working on it, but it will not be out before Gather Round, which is going to be a little bit frustrating, but it's all good. So just thought I'd point that out there. Let's also quickly review the big calls as well. So for the first game between Brisbane and Collingwood, I predict there to be 9 or more lead changes throughout the game. And I didn't get that one correct. I think there were only like a couple at the start and then they just faded out. Northy, Carlton. I said that Carlton would score 5 more behinds than goals, but they actually scored 5 more goals than behind. For the Adelaide v Freo game, my big call was for there to be 5 more consecutive goals scored by Adelaide. And whilst they did dominate the Dockers, I think the most they got in a row was 4. For the next game, Richmond and Bulldogs, my big call was simply for the Dogs to be in front by 20 or more points at any stage of the game. And I got that one bang on. Very, very good one to get up. So that's the first one. And then in the second game in a row, the Saints v Suns game, I said that Philippou and Higgins would combine for 6 or more. I got that correct thanks to Jackie Higgins kicking 5 and Philippou kicking 1. And Sydney v Port Adelaide, I said that Sydney scored 5 or more goals in the first quarter. I think they ended up kicking 3, so I wasn't too far off with that one, but still didn't get that one right. We head to the Sunday games for my big calls, and my big call was for Parrish and Merrick to combine for 67 or more touches. And I'm having a look at now, and they combined for 58. In the West Coast v Melbourne game, I said that West Coast would fail to score 50 or more points. I was sort of close, but they ended up scoring 63. So all I needed for the last game was to Hawthorn to lead in the last half at any stage. And I actually got that one correct, despite the massive domination the Cats had in that second half, because they were up at half time, which meant that they were up in the second half. So that means 3-3 punishments. I'm not sure which one was the most liked, but I don't have to do it now, so I'll put it down on screen, but I'm not reading it out. I know I said I'd do that Renegades punishment, but I didn't end up going to the Good Friday game. Gather Round is approaching, which means I got heaps of footy to do, so I should get that Melbourne Renegades punishment done by Tuesday, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Alright, let's do it. Let's go through my round 5 tips, and for the first game on the Thursday night, we're set for a cracker. Adelaide are taking on Carlton at the Adelaide Oval. How good has the Crows' form been as of late? They obviously won their last 2 games, but could have won their last 3 or even 4 if it wasn't for bad kicking in those first 2 games. But yeah, they look like a really good side, particularly at the Adelaide Oval, just with the way they spread, the way they run, the way they carry. And at the moment, I'd say that Adelaide have one of the most dangerous forward lines in the competition. That's just going really well. They've got so many players that can bob up and score a few goals. Carlton, on the other hand, well, they recorded a win on a Good Friday against North Melbourne. Didn't really get to watch much of this game, but from what I've been told, they were up by as much as 50, the Blues, in the last quarter, and North Melbourne got a few goals late to peg back the margin. So, yeah, you know, Carlton, they haven't been at their best yet, I don't think, but they're just getting the results up. But this is a game where I think Carlton need to be at their best. They need players such as McKay and Curnow to fire. I'm not sure if Mackay's going to be suspended for this game. I kind of hope not for the sake of the spectacle. But yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a difficult one because obviously Carlton expected to do more things than the Crows this year. But with the Crows' form that they've been in and at the Adelaide Oval, last year obviously the Crows got the job done at the Adelaide Oval. And for those that don't know yet, Carlton have never won a game at the Adelaide Oval in 9 years. So that is telling me that I think we should go form and tip the Crows. And I think the Crows at the moment are just performing slightly better. And it's a home game as well, so I think to kickstart Gather Round, the Crows will be up for it. So will the Blues. I think it'll be a really good game of footy, but my tip will be Adelaide to win it by 6 points. My big call, there are 150 or more tackles combined in this game. Alrighty, next up on the Friday at 4:40 PM local time, the first AFL game to be played at Norwood Oval. Very interesting, that's for sure. I'll be at this game as well. Fremantle take on the Gold Coast Suns, the 2 most disappointing sides, I reckon, on the weekend for sure. Obviously, Fremantle had more expectations leading into this game for sure. I obviously thought they could knock them off. And I know a lot of people that tipped the Dockers, but they just never seemed like they were fit for the contest from the word go. The Dockers, they had one good quarter in the third where they, got a couple of goals going their way. They had the game in their terms, but they could just never catch up. And the Crows were just way too strong. Fremantle's forward line And it's just a question that needs to be asked again. It's just not working. It really isn't. Every time it seems that they want to go inside 50, they just bomb it long and it goes straight to an Adelaide defender and they can rebound and push from there. And again, the Dockers weren't able to succumb to the Crows' pressure on the weekend. So disappointing result to go down by 39. And for the Suns as well, they were probably just as bad against the Saints. The Suns, well, they had one good quarter being up at quarter time and probably should have been up by a couple more goals. But after the midway point of the second term, it was just all St Kilda. At Gold Coast, they couldn't match the pressure whatsoever and they just, they just shut the bed, and their skill use after that was just terrible, and they allowed St Kilda to do really whatever they wanted to do. It was just a complete domination after the halfway mark of the second quarter. And obviously the Saints ran out winners by 53 points with Gold Coast in a really difficult position now because everyone thought that they were going to be contender this season. They started poorly at 1-3 with 3 pretty bad losses. I still rate Fremantle more than Gold Coast. I still think they've been slightly better than the Suns this season. So you think at Norwood Oval, they've got the stealth kit that they're going to be wearing. Surely they are up for the occasion in this one and win the game. And I'm going to tip them to win it, although I'm not convinced. I don't think they'll be convincing in this win, but I think they'll get it done by 22 points. My big call in this game is that the Dockers record 10 or more inside 50s than the Suns. Next up, we've got a really, really big clash against the Tigers and the Swans at the Adelaide Oval on the Friday night. This is probably shaping up to be more of an intriguing battle now, but now the Tigers, they're not looking great. I mean, they've lost their last 2, that game against the Dogs. They didn't look great for most of it. They got that one good quarter in the second where they kicked 8, but now they're suffering a couple of injury concerns. Tom Lynch isn't going to be playing, Nan Curvis isn't going to be playing, and those 2 players are arguably the 2 most important Richmond players in their side. So yeah, they've got question marks all around now, the Tigers. The Swans, on the other hand, they also had a really close loss on the weekend against the Power, and now they're sitting at 2 losses in a row. So 2 sides that would love to pick up a win after being 2 losses in a row. I didn't really get to watch this game because of the Saints game, but what a finish that was. The Swans, they thought they had the win. So many lead changes late. I think the Swans had 2 20-plus point leads at any stage of the game. But then that last kick, Florent thought he made it over the line. He couldn't quite do it. Aaliyah saved the ball, and yeah, tragic for the Swans. They need to win this game now at the Adelaide Oval. I think this is going to be one of the tightest games of the round. Even though the Tigers haven't been in their form, I think they'll still find a way to get the goals in this game. I think it'll be fairly high scoring. But at the end of the day, I think Sydney are the better side. So we're going to go safe for the tip. But I do think it'll be close. I'm going to go Sydney to win this game by 4 points. With my big call, there is a 30-plus point lead by any team in the first half. Alrighty, we're on to the Saturday games, and this is the first game to be played at the Adelaide Hills. Brisbane take on North Melbourne. I've had a look at the weather, and it's going to be a wet game, that is for sure. The Lions on the weekend were really, really great against the Pies, recording a 33-point win against the best side in the competition, or at least at the time. And especially in that second quarter, they made the Pies look like a second-rate side. I think the Lions at one stage recorded 9 goals in a row. So Brisbane, they're just such a different side at the Gabba. They'd be the best team in the competition if they played every game at the Gabba, but obviously that isn't going to be the case. But they're coming up against a North Melbourne outfit who were competitive against Carlton on the weekend, let's say that. The umpiring certainly didn't go their way from what I've been told, and they didn't have 2 of their best key defenders playing for them, which really made it difficult against the best key forward duo in the competition. I think North Melbourne will challenge the Lions. I think this won't be a smashing like a lot of other people predicting, particularly given the conditions. I think it'll be a wet game. Who knows how Brisbane play at this ground? Who knows how any side plays at this ground? No one's ever played at the Adelaide Hills. I think you'd be silly to tip against the Lions in this one. I think with a great win against the Pies, they should be able to back it up and beat North, but I don't think it'll be a foregone conclusion. I'm going Brisbane to win it though by 19 points. My big call, there'll be 135 or less points combined throughout the game. We head to the Adelaide Oval yet again between the Bombers and the D's this time. This could be an intriguing battle, particularly to see where Essendon really are at, because they've had 4 games, 3 wins, but all against sides that aren't predicted to do anything this season. I mean, they had a game against St Kilda where, the quality of opposition was a little bit better, but aside from that, no one really knows where Essendon are at. And I know they got that win against the Giants on the weekend, but I tell you what, the performance was fairly convincing, but the result didn't end up being a convincing one. I think it was only like a 2-goal margin at the end, and it really should have been more. They scored 11-22. I know a few of those scoring shots weren't actually behinds, they were rush behinds, and they got a couple of unlucky ones there. Jake Stringer was impressive. He could have kicked 7 with the 4-goal 6, and yeah, I think Essendon, they got the good win, but they probably should have won that game by more with all the scoring shots they had. Melbourne, on the other hand, not much to say about that contest. It was all you expected, really. Melbourne to go to Optus Stadium, record a pretty easy win against West Coast. An undermanned West Coast outfit, we should say. And I didn't think West Coast were terrible. They at least fought for 4 quarters. But Melbourne, they're just the much better side, the much classier opponent. And yeah, they got the 63-point win pretty easily. And I think they should win this game against Essendon, although it's at the Adelaide Oval. Who knows what's going to happen in this one. But you got to go safe and tip the D's because they've just been the better side. And the more trustworthy side so far. So Melbourne to win this one by 25 points. My big call, the Dons, again, are going to be inaccurate, scoring 5 or more behinds than they score goals. And for the next game that we've got, again at the Adelaide Oval, a double header between Port Adelaide and the Western Bulldogs for the Saturday night. This is going to be a good game as well because both sides are in some decent form after having patches in the season so far where they've been really, really poor. The Power, how good were they against the Swans? No one really gave them much of a chance, even though they did win their last 6 against them. And particularly that start, I think they were down by as much as 4 goals. They couldn't record a goal in the first quarter. Things didn't seem great for them, but they managed to fight back in the game to draw level and hit the lead in the third quarter before the Swans kicked away in that third and fourth. And the Power just surged back, and they was just like, nah, we're not out of this one just yet. And with Finlayson kicking a goal in the last couple of minutes and then holding on in fashion that they did after the sign, with Leah fisting it back into play. And those are the sort of wins that can help rejuvenate a season and, kick-start a bit of life back into it, and particularly for Ken Hinkley as well. Again, the Dogs, they're on the other side that recorded a really close win on the weekend. They were great for 3 quarters. They allowed Richmond to kick 8 in that second, but I thought the Dogs were the better side. And you could argue that they could have put the game away even earlier and, allowed the Tigers back into it with a few missed chances. But a great win away from home at the MCG, where not many gave them a chance. I did, though, to be fair. But yeah, the two sides that recorded really good, close wins on the weekend. It's hard to trust the Power. It is hard to trust the Power, but it's hard to trust both sides here, so it could go either way. I am going to tip the Power, though. I think they should win it. And I'm going to go then by 29 points. With my big call, the Western Bulldogs score 4 or less goals in the first half. Alrighty, now we head to the Sunday games. We've got 3 of them. The first one being between the Cats and the Eagles at the Adelaide Oval. And how badly did the Cats need a response after their start to the season, 0-3. And it looked dire in the first half. At halftime, the Hawks were up by 9. They were looking the goods, and Geelong was staring down the barrel at a possible 0-4 start. But that third quarter was just the quarter, probably the best quarter that any side has played this season. I mean, in terms of scoring, it was 10 goals, 5-0. If I'm not mistaken, the Hawks only recorded like 1 or 2 inside 50s that entire quarter. Like, I can't remember the last time a side scored less than a quarter of footy, but it was just all Geelong. They dominated that third quarter and also that last. And a big win like that will certainly kickstart their campaign for 2023. And they're playing an Eagles outfit who are undermanned, underdone, and quite frankly haven't really got much of a chance to win it. I know the Eagles on the weekend, they played against one of the best sides in the comp with 6 outs. There's not a lot you can really do or say to get them that win. But I thought the Eagles, they tried hard in that game. Tim Kelly certainly did, kicking 2 goals and 36 disposals. But yeah, this one's going to be a tough one at the Adelaide Oval again. Who knows, because it's at a different ground, but I think the Cats really should be too strong here. I still think West Coast, they'll give it their all, but their all won't be enough to beat the Cats. So I'm going the Cats to win it by 43 points. With my big call, the Cats have 2 or more 6+ goal quarters. The next game we have is probably the one game that I won't be attending because it's the most irrelevant one and it's in the middle of a Saints game. We've got the Giants taking on the Hawks at Norwood Oval. We've got 2 sides that no one really is expecting to do a whole heap this season. The thing about the Giants this season, they haven't yet been blown away in any game and have been technically in a contest until the last quarter. Obviously, the game should have been over really at halftime with the scoring side 16 to like 11 and it was just all less than really, but they managed to stay in the contest for a lot of it, but obviously the Bombers were the better side for all of it, really, and they certainly deserved the win. Hawthorn, well, they gave themselves a chance at halftime. I think I called Menzer, and it was just like, oh, yeah, we've got a chance of winning this game. And then that second half, it was a 90-point turnaround or whatever, and they ended up losing it by over 80 points. It was one of the worst second halves of footy I've seen from a side this year. I know it is Hawthorn, but surely I thought they'd play a little bit better, especially for the Easter Monday clash. But no, I guess they just felt tired and they just didn't have the experience, particularly in the middle, with the clearance count being really, really favoured towards the Cats. Hawthorn are not looking great this season with the list that they have, and it's even coming up against a side like the Giants. I think the Giants, they just have more class than the Hawks, and I think they've been better. They've proven that they've been better, even though they haven't been necessarily great. We're tipping the Giants in this one by 33 points. My big call, Toby Green kicks 5 or more goals. Alrighty, this is the last game of the round. At 4:20 PM at the Adelaide Oval, the Pies take on the Saints. How important and how massive is this clash going to be? This is the game that I'm going to be most anticipated for, but I'll be waiting all day for it, all gather around for it, but it should be one of the better games of the round, I think. The Pies, obviously, one of the red hot sides in the competition, as well as the Saints, 2 sides that have started really well. Obviously, Collingwood last week, they did experience their first loss to the hands of the Lions, but it's not a shameful loss, I wouldn't say, that the Pies had, particularly a Lions outfit at the Gabba. It's really, really difficult to go up there and win it. I thought they were a decent side for most of the game, but that second quarter and the start of the third, I think they leaked 8 or 9 goals in a row, and yeah, that's where the game was lost, obviously, for Collingwood. They tried to fight back, particularly through plays such as, Nicky Dacos had a great game. Maicha kicked 4 second half goals, but It was just a little bit too hard. I still thought, I mean, they ended up having more scoring shots. I'm looking at the score. So it's not like they were disgraced. It was just a one period of the game where it was just a complete domination. They couldn't really find their hands on the footy. And when they did, they just kept turning the ball over. So not the worst loss I've ever seen from any side. And I think Collingwood should bounce back. I don't think they should be too concerned. Just get a few things right. St Kilda, on the other hand, who had a really, really good victory against the Suns. I thought this game would be closer. Much closer than what it was, 53 points. But again, just like in the first 3 rounds, we found a way to run over our opponent through pressure and intensity. And yeah, that was a third quarter. We were just on fire. Mitch Owens, if he doesn't win the Rising Star, I'm not going to gather out. I'm that confident that he's going to win it. 27 touches and 2 goals. He was absolutely unbelievable. And yeah, again, it was just a complete performance from the Saints under Ross Lyon. We're sitting 4-0. This is our biggest test yet at the Adelaide Oval. I haven't tipped against the Saints so far this season. I've gotten 4 correct tips. I think it's going to be one of the games of the round, and screw it, I'm tipping the Saints. We're going to win the game by 9 points. And I think it will be a relatively high-scoring game of footy because we're capable of kicking a high score, and obviously the Pies are as well. So we're going to go that there are 18 or more goals combined at half-time as my big call for this match. I went the Crows, the Dockers, the Swans, the Lions, the D's, the Power, the Cats, the Giants, and the Saints to finish things off. I literally can't wait for this round. There'll be a lot of other content creators that'll be heading to Gainesville. They'll be celebrating my birthday on the round. It'll be, yeah, it's just going to be a great week, and I can't wait. So, of course, as I said before, I was pretty good for round 4. I got 172nd out of 946. And well done to Gabe Gamer TV for tipping a perfect score of 9 for this round. A few other people also got a score of 8. I tipped 7, but because I got the first game wrong by quite a bit, I ended up finishing like 172nd in the leaderboard. As we quickly take a look at the overall leaderboard after round 4, and it's Gabe AFL Ball. What's with the Gabes doing really well with 27 total score. Dana for the win up there as well with 26, as well as Jack Ristorm. Anyone else up there in the leaderboard that I know? Studi's on 26, AFL Card Gamer on 19. So yeah, not bad stuff for those people. I'm doing okay with 389. I want to quickly see who's done the worst. Well, 946 is someone named Weewo, but look at AFL Code HQ score. He's not that far off bottom with only a score of 13 after round 4. Anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you're new to the channel, leave a like. We're on the road to 26k, possibly by Gather Round if we can get the subs up. That would be awesome. But again, I do appreciate all the support, and we'll see you very soon in my next video.